There is something so great about connecting generations. It brings a feeling of peace and love. Every generation thinks that it is more intelligent than the previous one and will be wiser than the next one. But let's be honest, we have much more flaws than our parents and grandparents ever did. I believe Gen Z, people born between 1997 to 2010, and Gen Alpha, people born between 2010 to 2024, are 90% more likely to develop mental health issues, depression, or addictions to drug use or gaming. So, are we as advanced as we think we are? The answer to this is yes. We have opportunities and resources our previous generations could never even think about. But we lack the wisdom to use them in a correct manner and end up misusing the opportunities and resources we do have. Now, I know many of you would have thought about such issues, but how many of you out there have thought of practical solutions to this? One of you have. Glad to see that. Now imagine a star falls from the sky with the age of your death written on it. Quite scary, right? Now imagine a rabbit is holding this star and walk into the future. For every year you live, it is half a year as far away, and eventually you're going to reach the rabbit and the end point of your life. But what if the rabbit could walk at a pace of an year as away from you? That way, you would never reach the rabbit and become immortal. Now, becoming immortal is not possible, right? This is a story I came across in the book Ikigai. The speed at which the rabbit walks symbolizes the technological advancements of our bodies and the wisdom of our minds. The more we advance ourselves, the wiser our mindsets will be. The healthier our lifestyles will be, which would not only increase our lifespans but will also be able to use our resources judiciously. God gives us grace to accept things that cannot be changed and courage to change things that can be changed. So, why not work on our flaws, which can be changed? Now, my grandmom, she's a boomer. She's 75 years old. And boomer basically refers to the people born between 1946 to 1964. She exercises daily in the morning and meditates as well. Now, one Sunday morning, I wanted to sleep so badly after a whole tiring week, and unfortunately, I was not able to. So I decided to go for a walk, and I observed so many people of around her age were socializing, doing yoga, or even just taking a simple walk. Recently, inspired by these people and my own grandmom, I've started meditating as well because I've noticed that most of the successful personalities either meditate or practice at least some kind of prayer. Maybe because it helps them to manage stress efficiently, or maybe because it helps them to put their energy into the right direction. Now, my father, he's a Gen Y, which refers to the people born between 1965 to 1980. And I can see that he has a strong work ethic. Now, we all do recognize these apps, right? The social media apps we use every day, and not to forget, get distracted by it. My father uses them for work purposes too. So many Gen Y and millennial influencers use them for work purposes. But never in my life have I seen them getting distracted by these apps. On the other side of the story is me, picking up my phone just because a notification has popped up. Recently, inspired by my own dad and the people around there, I started to use a feature called Work Focus. It blocks all the unnecessary notifications and phone calls for a specific mentioned time. And trust me, it has not only reduced my distractions but doubled my productivity. So, simple steps like blocking notifications whenever required can help you to increase your productivity and decrease your distractions. Now, so many of you out there would ask me, isn't it just simpler to delete these apps instead? Think practically for a second. In the age of globalization, we are more connected through social media apps than through TV news. So deleting them wouldn't be a practical option, would it be? Now, I've talked about learning from the Gen Y, the millennials, the boomers, but what about us, the Gen Zs and the Gen Alphas, the youth? Are we the worst generation out there and no one could learn anything from us? Absolutely not. We show a strong sense of confidence that the Gen Y and the millennials could never do. And in order to be successful, there needs to be a balance between having faith in oneself and hard work. So, hard work is something we can learn from the previous generations, and having faith in oneself and practicing manifestation is something the other generations could learn from us. Sometime back, I came across the story of my favorite singer and songwriter. I got to know he was homeless as he left his home at just 17 years in order to pursue music. He had no food and money for so many days. Now, this story triggered something deep in my subconscious mind. That is, if you want to be a change maker, you want to change the world for the better, the first step is to change yourself. Because it is only when you change yourself that you'll be able to change the people around you. Now, talking about music, I can't help but notice the emergence of new genres such as raps. Sure, they do help artists to connect with the modern audience and influence them in a modern way, but most of these raps have at least some kind of negative influences in them, due to which we watch music rather than listening to it. Now, the music freaks out there would understand what I mean, but for those of you who do not, what I mean by this is, due to the negative influences in the music, we are tempted to watch the music videos, due to which we enjoy the videos more than we enjoy listening to the music itself. And when we compare this to the 90s music, most of it represented a thought and an idea we all could relate to. Now, I know it's not possible to listen to the past music all the time, but what we could do instead is listen to the underground artists. They might not be at the top of the charts, but most of the music is healing. It represents an idea because they brainstorm and take inspiration from the past singers while delivering their message in a modern way, influencing the modern generation. The same is with the OTT apps. The emergence of these apps over the traditional dish TVs. We all remember those times, right? Where we had to sit in front of the TV and wait for a particular show at a particular time. It was exciting and frustrating at the same time. And now these OTT apps have come up. We can watch any show at any given time. Much more convenient, right? But the problem with these apps is, even though many of the app shows age ratings, children tend to be curious. They watch inappropriate content without even realizing the bad impacts it leaves on their minds. So the solution to this could be, as they say, quality over quantity. We could watch less TV, but watch TV shows which truly dive deep into the issues in the modern society, such as racism, LGBTQ rights, or sexism, while focusing on human emotions and feelings. Now, one more thing I've noticed amongst the Gen Z and the Gen Alphas is lack of patience. Me, even before giving an exam, I'm so impatient for the results. And never have I ever seen in my life my parents or anyone around their age being as distracted and impatient as we are. We do not understand the importance of smaller steps and want to take big leaps. As you can see here, this woman could not reach the top because there were no smaller rings in between. And this man, he could, just because there were the smaller rings in between. So what I mean by this is, smaller milestones eventually pile up to help you achieve your biggest one. To be truly successful and be imperfectly perfect, even when you are on the top of the world, you know there is at least some flaw in you which you could work on and improve on yourself. Now, whenever we talk about happiness to the youth, most of us envision expensive things, expensive cars, big houses, and while all those things are good to aspire about, smaller things such as having tea with your neighbors, having a meaningful conversation with your friend, could be your happy place as well. Mankind's greatest gift, that is free will, is also their greatest curse. Because they could either make their choices based on the reason and rationality, and these choices will definitely bring out the results they wanted to see. But if they make their choices based on prejudices that surround them, they will never be able to see the results that they truly want to see. We need to remember that there is as much to learn as there is to teach across each generation. It is never a set rule that the younger generation need to learn from the older ones, or the older generations need to learn from the newer ones. Everyone can learn from another and be truly successful in their life while being able to use their resources judiciously. Thank you.